Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 5th chapter, text number 32. The demigods appeal to the Lord. How are we doing there?
We're okay. You're on. You're on.
Okay. Padao Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvido Yatra Bhuta Sarga Sa Vai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Chaturvidho Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvido Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti
Padau Mayam Swakritaiva Yasya Chaturvido Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti
Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti
Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti
Ladies.
Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hibhuta Sarga Savai Mahapurusha
Siddhatam Brahma Mahavibhuti.
Pado,
Pado,
his lotus feet.
his lotus feet.
Maha,
Maha,
no, I'm sorry. Mahi,
Mahi,
the earth.
the earth.
Iyam,
Iyam,
this.
this.
Svakrita,
Sakrita,
created by himself.
created by himself.
Eva,
Eva,
indeed.
indeed.
Yasya,
Yasya,
of whom?
of whom?
Chaturvidha,
Chaturvidha,
of four kinds of living entities.
four kinds of living entities.
Yatra,
Yatra,
wherein.
wherein.
He, indeed.
Indeed.
Bhuta sarga,
Bhuta sarga,
material creation.
material creation.
Saha,
Saha,
he.
he.
Vai,
Vai,
indeed.
indeed.
Mahapurusha,
Mahapurusha,
the supreme person.
the supreme person.
Atmatantra,
Atmatantra,
self-sufficient.
self-sufficient.
Prasidatam,
Prasidatam,
may he be merciful to us.
may he be merciful to us.
Brahma,
Brahma,
the greatest.
the greatest.
Mahavibhuti,
Mahavibhuti,
with unlimited potency.
with unlimited potency.
Translation of purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, Srila Prabhupada. On this earth, there are four kinds of living entities who are all created by Him. The material creation rests on His lotus feet. He is the great Supreme Person, full of opulence and power. May He be pleased with us. Purport. The word Mahi refers to the five material elements, earth, water, air, fire, and sky, which rest upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahatpadam Punyayasho Murare. The Mahat Tattva, the total material energy, rests on His lotus feet, for the cosmic manifestation is but another opulence of the Lord. In this cosmic manifestation, there are four kinds of living entities. Jarayuja, those born from embryos. Annaja, those born from eggs. Svedaja, those born from perspiration. And Udbijja, those born from seeds. This is going to come in your test, okay? In your exam. So you're going to pay attention. Everything is generated from the Lord as confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra. Janmari asya yataha. No one is independent, but the Supreme Soul is completely independent. Janmari asya to nyavad itaratas charpesha vigyat swarat. The word swarat means independent. We are dependent, whereas the Supreme Lord is completely independent. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the greatest of all. Even Lord Brahma, who created the cosmic manifestation, is but another opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The material creation is activated by the Lord, and therefore the Lord is not a part of the material creation. The Lord exists in His original spiritual position. The universal form of the Lord, Vairaja Murti, is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Parau mahiyam svakritaiva yasya chaturvidho yatra hi bhuta sarga savai mahapurusha atma tantra prasidatam brahma mahavibhuti. On this earth there are four kinds of living entities who are all created by Him. The material creation rests on His lotus feet. He is the great Supreme Person, full of opulence and power. May He be pleased with us. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Dena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Bhovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mayam Dadati Svapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti Vagachalam Pangum Rangategirim Yat Kripadamaham Vande Sri Gurudinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhavyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. The blessings of all the devotees. Here in this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma is praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is interesting that he's addressing him in the third person. He's speaking about he. He's not talking to you, directly addressing him. So we can understand that the major audience is more the demigods who, and everyone else who is listening to this and who is hearing this. He is describing different qualities, characteristics of the Supreme Lord. And in this 12 verses here, he is starting off with the earth. The earth is the most gross of all the elements. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kamano buddhireva cha aham karaiti yamme bhina prakritira sada. And the earth is comprising all the other elements, because in earth you not only have smell, but you have all the others as well. So he's starting off with the earth, which is representing the Lord. And he is speaking about his vibhutis. Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam srimat urjitam eva va. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains some of his vibhutis, some of his qualities, his characteristics. And he's also speaking about his potencies. So, earth may sound like something pretty basic, something pretty ordinary, so to speak. We take the earth usually for granted. How often do you get up and you pay your respects to Mother Earth? Some who have culture actually do that. They actually do that. Because they not only acknowledge Mother Earth as a person, but they also offer their respect and beg forgiveness. That I'm sorry, I'm going to walk on you today, okay? Because there's just no other way that I can live my life. And by the way, I'm also going to eat some of the things that are grown from you. And I'm going to cause a little bit of damage and destruction, because that's the only way how I know how to survive here in this world. So, the earth, often taken for granted, but actually the source of all life. That's why in cultured civilization, people make sure that they respect, that they treat the earth well, that they do not pollute her, that they do not offend her, because they understand, I am dependent on Mother Earth. If Mother Earth does not subsist, does not sustain me, she does not nourish me, I cannot live. Whatever we need is coming from earth. So, it would do wise, or it would do well upon us to acknowledge and to appreciate her existence. And of course, she is a representative of Krishna, because Krishna is giving all these elements without which nothing can exist in this world. And they're represented, the earth is representing the feet of the universal form of the Lord. The feet, again, is the lowly part of the body, which usually is not paid that much respect to. People are more worried about their head, their chest, their stomach, their other great features. But the feet are usually not that much in the focus of attention. The feet are a very important part of the body, and for devotees, we are always starting with the feet, because it is a sign of respect, a sign of humility, and proper culture to address a person by first taking the humble role and offering respect, offering prayers, Every prayer has three components. The first component of the prayer is humility. We're showing our humility. We're bowing down, we're addressing, we're showing respect. It means I am so lowly. Then the second aspect is you are so great, you are so wonderful. Now sometimes we don't get past the first aspect. It's I, me, and I, and me, and some more I, and then the curtain's closed. No, then we usually get to the third aspect, which is give me, give me, give me, give me, right? I and give me. But we miss out the middle part, which is you're so wonderful, you're so great, you're so magnanimous, you're so glorious, which should be the bigger part of a prayer. But depending on the realization, the aspiration, the level of the person who is addressing the Lord, the different components may take on different priorities. So here, Brahma is showing us, and the demigods, what is the proper way of addressing the Lord. He is our Sampradaya Acharya. We're in the Brahma Mata Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So he is the boss, so to speak. He is also Adi engineer. So for all of you engineers out there, he's number one, okay? So like when Bill Gates or, Steve Jobs, the late Bhakta Steve, would get up on the mic, people would really start paying attention because they understand this is top dog speaking. So I better listen up. So this is Brahma speaking, and we would do well to pay attention because he not only has four heads and his entire body consists of pure intelligence, but he actually has a lot of realization. He has a lot of realization about the Lord because he has performed severe austerity with the purpose of reaching enlightenment. In the Vedanta Sutra, the first aphorism is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about the nature of the Absolute. And what is the second aphorism? Janmadi Asya Yataha, which is also the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is quite interesting because Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So what is that Janmadi Asya? Janma Adi Asya? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all creation. Everything emanates from Him. And as such, He is Svara. He is completely independent. Because the Creator is always independent of the creation. The Creator can always walk away from His creation. If He's detached. That is. But because the Lord is Bhagavan, He has all the six opulences, upon which the sixth renunciation is often misunderstood or belittled, but it is quite a phenomenal opulence to actually be detached. So the Lord is creating, at the same time He is detached. Now why is He creating this world? Why would Krishna create this world? In the prayers of the Vedas personified, in the 87th chapter of the 10th canto, in the 2nd verse, the reason why Krishna creates this world is explained. The Lord creates this world for one reason only, because of compassion. Because He cares for the living entities, and He wants to give them an opportunity to enact their proclivities, their desires, in order to give them a playground so they can actually experience and live out their desires, and eventually come back to Him. So compassion is the only reason why this universe exists. Quite interesting point to note. So, also in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma is praying to Krishna. Now I know, usually when we get to these points, excuse me, too much asbestos. Usually, when we get to these points where Brahma or anyone else is praying, we think like, okay, how long does this go on? Like, has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? Okay, it's going on and on and on, but when is the action starting again? I can guarantee you this is the action, and I'll prove it to you. So, again, Brahma is praying after he had just been mystified by the magical potency of the Supreme Lord. Krishna had not only bewildered him, he had left him stupefied. You know what that means? He was completely bewildered. And now that's quite unusual for Brahma, because he is pure intelligence. And whatever he thinks of, it becomes manifested. So he thought he'll play a funny trick and he'll steal these cowherd boys and calves. And all of a sudden, they were there, even though he just had stolen them. And then all of a sudden, they were in different places. And all of a sudden, he had some visions. And he could not comprehend what's going on. Till he realized, Krishna must have played a trick on me. So he went back to Krishna and he took the humble role and he was offering prayers. So as part of these prayers, he's saying, Samashitaye parapallavaplavam mahatpudam punyayasho murare pavam buddhirvatsa param padam yadvipadam natesham. There's a lot of pada in that verse. There's a lot of feet. So one who has taken shelter at the boat of your lotus feet, he can cross over this ocean of material nescience. Krishna was just standing there with some yogurt and fruit dripping from his hand, kind of looking like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a cowherd boy. I just want to play with my friends. So Brahma understood that his presence was no longer required, and he went back to his service of administrating the universe. Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport to this verse. Now we know Prabhupada did not comment personally on the 14th chapter of the 10th canto, but in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, text number 51, Srila Prabhupada gives the purport to this verse, because he cites this verse and this is the purport that he gives. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the summarization of all the knowledge of the prayers from the Brahma Vimohana pastime. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thus it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifests himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavan, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. So this is 10:14:58 for those of you who want to take note. So this is beautiful. Brahma's prayers are spectacular. And he is showing us what is the proper way of offering prayers. Oftentimes, when we're in front of the Lord, we're faced with this scenario. Sometimes we may just be in awe and just be completely mesmerized by the beauty of our Lord and His associates and all the wonderful dresses and ornaments and whatever we are experiencing. And then after a while, we think, oh, maybe I should say something. Maybe this would be a good occasion to actually address the Lord. After we're just wondered, then when we get over the wonder, the awe, then we actually address by offering prayers. So, offering prayers is a traditional, is a very natural practice for devotees to share their heart and interact with the Lord in a very intimate and very loving way. If we are not on the platform where we can compose our own prayers, Srila Prabhupada has recommended to us that we learn some of the prayers and we just recite them. And that will be perfect. I see there's some people in the doorway and outside, so maybe you can move a little bit so that nobody has to stand in the doorway. If you can all move like 7 inches forward. Thank you. So, Krishna himself is offering prayers. Krishna himself is offering words of glorification and worship in the 84th chapter of the 10th canto, when Draupadi had just interacted. This is in Kurukshetra, and everybody gathers there for the purpose of performing religious sacrifice. And the queens had just shared their memories, how they interacted, how they got, how Krishna married them, how Krishna captured them, how Krishna conquered their hearts. And after that, a great number of sages arrived at that scene. And Krishna is glorifying them. And he is offering them words of praise. And one of those verses is very interesting because it's related to what we're discussing here. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridatuke svadi kalatradi shubhoma ichadi yatirta buddhi salilena karhichich janeshu abhigyeshu saeva gokara. The Lord himself is stating to these sages that a person who is thinking yasya atma buddhi, who is thinking his body to be his self, this body which consists of tridatuke, these three dhatus, kapha pitta vayu, is no better than a cow or an ass. Also a person who thinks that his beautiful wife or his capable and strong husband are permanently their own. Person who thinks that my land of birth is worshipable, or who thinks that the deity is simply stone, and in a holy place they will just go to visit the river or the body of water, but does not take advantage of meeting and conversing and hearing the instructions of saintly people. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his purport to this verse explains that when we hear deity, I was never getting this till I heard Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. He's saying that with deity is meant the deities of demigods, not the deity of Krishna, but deities of demigods. And with bodies of water, he doesn't mean Ganga and Jamuna, but he means just ordinary types of bodies of water that happen to be there in these places. So, this is the indicator, are we actually intelligent? Are we still thinking in those ways, along those lines? Or have we been able to transcend these bodily concepts of life? In other words, how much time am I spending meditating upon my body, the expansions of my body, where my body comes from, and all the things that give pleasure to this body? And how much time are we actually spending with inquiring about spiritual life? Hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, serving, and associating with the Lord and the Lord's devotees. So this material world is also known as Martya Loka, or the place where a lot of death is taking place. That is a constant factor, because whatever is born has to die. There is the 6 transformations of the body. This will also come in your test. What are the 6 transformations? Birth, growth, byproducts, maintenance, dwindling, death. So you can all figure out where you are on this chart. Everyone, everything in this world is going through this process. And we can feel how the law of gravity is pulling us back into the earth. Can you feel the law of gravity? No, you're all on the up, right? You're all still, yeah, I'm climbing, I'm flying. Huh? After a while, you're not flying or climbing, you're crawling. And then all of a sudden, limping and then inching along. And then it's kind of like, okay, you know, I'm still here, all right? It's not that bad. So, these are the 6 processes. And not only this body, everybody and everybody goes through these 6 transformational changes in this world. There is no question. No doubt asked. So, as the great German poet Wilhelm Busch said, und jeder legt noch schnell ein Ei, da kommt auch schon der Tod herbei. Everybody quickly lays an egg, and then already death is coming by and eats them up, devours them. So that is the predicament of this world. We're only here for a few short afternoons. Therefore, the question is, what am I absorbed in? What is my level of absorption? Just hearing this morning a class of Srila Prabhupada where he's commenting about the purpose of this movement by citing the verse Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshartameka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Buddhiryastamamaham Prapadye. That Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is to bring this Harinam Sankirtan. And it is realized there is Vairagya Vidya. What is this word Vairagya? Vai and Rag. Rag means attachment. Yes. Raga, Dvesha, Vimukta. Yeah? We're attached. Rag. What is my Rag? What am I attached to? Again, Yasyatma Buddhi or Krishna. Vairag means I'm detached. I'm detached from these things. Vai Vidya. I have this knowledge. I receive this higher knowledge of what is important, what is valuable, what is actually the goal of the human form of life. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us this Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Purusha Purana, this is the ancient, the eternal message. It's not something new. It's not a new ideology, some new fashion that someone has cooked up because he has some very smart marketing technique. But because the living entity is limited, is under the 4 defects of conditioned life, is always in fear. Bhayam dvitiya viniveshata syat. Isha apitasya viparyayo smritihi. The smriti, the remembrance of Isha, of the Lord, is stolen by Maya. Why? Because we identify with this world and the object of this world. And because of that, we're always fearful. Like the birds out there, you're thinking, oh, so nice the chirping of the birds, right? Do you know what they're talking about? Does anybody know what they're talking about? Take a wild guess. It's got something to do with eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. I can guarantee you that. And to us it may sound very beautiful, but actually it is pretty mundane. Sometimes when you travel, you get enticed that you want to learn the language of certain lands where you spend a little more time. And initially it's quite fun, and it's quite, engaging, and you become a little more sociable and a little more friendly and a little more, closer to the people. But then all of a sudden what happens is you actually understand what they're talking about. It happened to me in several places. After which I had to stop learning the language because I decided I'd rather keep my respect. And I'd rather be appreciative of these people. And whatever they're saying, it sounds like the chirping of the birds. And I can give them the benefit of the doubt that they're speaking very beautiful, poetic things. And they're having very loving exchanges. But when you actually understand what they're talking about, sometimes you would be surprised. So, every living entity is trying to be independent. Now, we gave the example of the playground. Have you ever built castles of sand? Who here has built castles of sand? If not, you had a very miserable childhood. And your homework is to go build some castles of sand, okay? And have some fun, will you? Because it's part of human nature. So you build a castle of sand, and what usually happens is at one point, Daddy says, okay, pack up time, we're shipping out. And you're like, whoa, 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 no. I'm just getting started here, There is also like this and this and this and this and this and this and this that I need to do. No, we're packing up, that's it, we're done. And next day you come, it's all gone. So this is the nature of the playground of this world. We're all very busy having our plans and building our little empires and, making our acquaintances and forming our strategic alliances and all these very important things. And all of a sudden, some higher power is telling us it's time to move. And because we're dependent, we cannot resist. How much independence does a 5-year-old child have? Now they think they're very independent because I'm a big boy, I'm a big girl, I know the world and I know how things move in this world. Right? But we're very dependent. Like we're dependent on the earth, we're dependent on the air, we're dependent on water, we're dependent on food, we're dependent on so many countless living entities without which we cannot even live our life. We are dependent. And unless we acknowledge and appreciate and act according to our dependent nature, we will always be fearful. We will always be in anxiety. We'll never be able to experience freedom. Real freedom comes when we acknowledge our dependence on Krishna and we act according to that dependence. And real society exists when people acknowledge their dependence on Krishna and their interdependence amongst themselves. That's when real society starts to manifest. I'd like to read you one of my favorite purports in the Bhagavatam. This is from 3rd Canto, 1st chapter, text 42. Vidura wanted to achieve sincere devotional service of the Lord and therefore became a soul absolutely surrendered to the absolute personality of Godhead. This is about dependence, acknowledging dependence and actually gaining freedom. He could realize this in the progress of his pilgrim's journey, and thus he was free from all doubts. He was not at all sorry to be bereft of his hearth and home, because he now had experience that dependence on the mercy of the Lord is a greater freedom than so-called freedom at home. A person should not be in the renounced order of life unless he is firmly convinced of being protected by the Lord. This stage of life is explained in Bhagavad Gita as abhayam sattva samshuddhi. Every living entity is factually completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. But unless one is in the pure state of existence, he cannot be established in this position. This stage of dependence is called sattva samshuddhi, or purification of one's existence. The result of such purification is exhibited in fearlessness. A devotee of the Lord who is called Narayana Para is never afraid of anything, because he is always aware of the fact that the Lord protects him in all circumstances. With this conviction, Vidura traveled alone, and he was not seen or recognized by any friend or foe. Thus he enjoyed freedom of life without obligation to the many duties of the world. Did you ever have a Vidura moment in your life? Many, right?
Yeah.
Now the Vidura moments come in different flavors. You know Vidura when he was in the palace and he was being insulted? And he put his bow and he just walked? That's one flavor of Vidura moments. And we remember those very vividly. There's other Vidura moments when Vidura comes back and he gives his little speech to Dhritarashtra. And he's able to actually extricate, to actually liberate Dhritarashtra. Now we may think, oh, all these protagonists of the Mahabharata, they're nice in the book. But no, they're here. In former ages, they're on different planets, they're in different countries, in different families. In Kali Yuga, they're in the same person. Have you ever had your Dhritarashtra moments? You know what a person does when they get afraid? They count how much money they have. They see, oh, is there still on my credit cards? Is there still on my car keys? Is there gas in the tank? Is there balance on my mobile phone? Have you ever done that? Never, right? Never. So, if we want to increase our Vidura moments, we should engage and absorb ourselves more in the activities of Vidura. When Krishna left this world, he was shedding tears remembering Vidura. Now Vidura had been pretty much disappointed in the palace. And he went on pilgrimage for 20 years. And he came back for one lecture. Just one class. That's all it took. But he came back for one class to liberate Dhritarashtra. And after that, again, he took off. So, this Krishna consciousness movement has been mercifully designed by Srila Prabhupada to give every living entity the opportunity to increase their Vidura moments. So that at the time of death, they will not be sorry and in a sad state of existence. And even Dhritarashtra could become a Dhira. Even he became sober because of the mercy of Vidura. He could not become an Narottama. He could not become a perfected and very elevated person because he was envious of the devotees. So this shows to us that if we still harbor enmity, if we still have envy, if we still have animosity towards other devotees, we may at best become sober, but not purely loving and devoted beings. So, these are not just nice stories and nice verses, but these are things to remember, to cherish, and to absorb ourselves in. Now, today is the 20th of December, 2017. There's another 10 days left for the year. And then 2017 is gone. So, how to get our Vidura moment? Well, one good way is by hearing about Vidura, by picking up his teachings, and by trying to extend ourselves beyond the call of duty and expectation, and giving somebody this transcendental knowledge. Because the Dhritarashtras are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're people who may look very lavish, they may look very beautiful, very ornamented, but they're blind towards spiritual truths. And they require the mercy and compassion of a Vidura. So this is a humble appeal to everyone who is watching this class here and online. Please, this is a good time of the year. Pick up some books, get out there, and give them to people. You'd be surprised at how much people are hankering for this knowledge. I was in Bangkok, Thailand on Khao San Road, which is just a regular tourist drag. And there was a young couple from the UK, and the girl almost fell over, and she said, this morning I woke up in my hotel room, and I was thinking I need to read Bhagavad Gita. And boom, now she's got Bhagavad Gita in her hand. And she said, what is this? I mean, can you read my mind or what? And another boy, I met him in San Francisco, and he said, I saw you in Rishikesh just like a few months ago. So how come? You're the same guy. Are you following me? I said, no. It's the other way around. You know? It's the other way around. But there's a reason, there's a purpose to this. There's a lady from Sweden. She said, I live on an island in Sweden. Do you know how many islands are there in Sweden? A lot of islands. There's a lot of lakes. She said, I live on an island, a small island. And somebody came and knocked on my door and gave me one of these books. And now, she was in San Francisco, and she bumps into me again. And she's like, where are you guys? Who are you guys? What are you doing here? So, it is good that we're here, and we have all the beauty of Mayapur, and all the loving association of the deities and the devotees. But we should try to cultivate this mood of Vidura. How can we take this? How can we spread this to others? And this will help us to dive deeper into these purports, to dive deeper into these teachings, and to actually attract the mercy of our previous acharyas. Because being relevant by our compassion, this is the Mahavakya. This is the key essence of devotional service, to be relevant by your compassion. Now, if I look into my heart, there may not be that much compassion there. Therefore, we are singing, Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diyo Koroedase Trina Pekaya Tirina. I don't have it, but I know someone who has. And if I just go to that person and I submit myself, acknowledging my dependence, showing my appreciation and glorification, I will be able to make a little request. So I've come to all of you with a little request. In this difficult place of San Francisco, where Krishna consciousness was once very vibrant and booming, it is now a desert surrounded by raging forest fires. And the only thing that can help alleviate this suffering pain is the mercy cloud of Krishna's showering benedictions. So, if you can somehow say a little prayer for the preaching in that part of the world, it would be much appreciated. Thank you for considering this request. So here Brahma is glorifying the Lord, and he is making general glorification, but the acharyas show us that actually he is speaking about the beautiful, sweet, pinkish, soft lotus feet of the Lord. So we should not get distracted by what meets the eye, and we should be diving deeper into the meaning, into the purports of the scriptures by studying them in the association of devotees and relishing them, following the guidance of our previous acharyas. Hare Krishna. We have time for a question or a comment. We got a few here, so we'll keep it short. Just give me the sentence with the question mark.
Mine first.
No mic. Just
Michael,
go ahead.
Question is, what is your realization regarding the deities made of stone, referring to the demigods' deities?
I have no realization.
I was just going to say that in 1974, when we were in Vrindavan, in Prabhupada's house, it was before the temple was open, and Prabhupada was, we were, at a darshan, as we call, and the many devotees were missing. They were not there, the senior devotees especially, and Prabhupada asked where they were. And the answer came that they were on darshan. They were taking darshan in Vrindavan of the deities. And Prabhupada said, if they don't hear, what will they see? So when you said that it applied to the demigod and it didn't apply to the Ganga and the Jamuna, it seemed to me from that statement that Prabhupada, even the vision of those things, like the deities of Radhamadava and the holy rivers that we know are holy, we don't see them unless we hear from the acharyas. And if we don't hear from the acharyas, then they become deities of stone. And
Thank you.
Sacred.
Yes, and that's why Srila Prabhupada, thank you, was appreciated by his Guru Maharaj when the whole yatra went to see Kartashamai Vishnu. But he stayed back to hear from his Guru. He was noticed. He was noticed by his spiritual master. Now there was a lot of people, there's a lot of senior people, and he was just a new person. But he was noted because he actually went there to listen. Thank you. Yes?
One question. I was sharing about the Buddhist tradition and you mentioned that how you see that the mercy of the previous acharya. Can you elaborate this point? How you feel like
Prabhu, can you repeat the question?
The question is, how do you feel, how do you get this realization? Well, the realization comes when you apply yourself to the process. Otherwise, it's just theoretical. So you have to apply yourself to the process. You have to pick up the books, get out there, and have your Vidura moment yourself. Otherwise, it sounds nice theoretically, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just, it sounds very poetic. A Vidura moment, you can make a t-shirt, you can make a brand out of that, you can make a song and a dance, right? And some people have done it. But that's not what our moment is meant. Our moment is meant to actually get realization. That means we have to go out there and apply ourselves to the process. And then you will know what it means. Right now we know it's a good thing, okay? And everyone is strongly encouraged, because otherwise we kind of miss the boat, which is a little sad, because we're this close. And if you miss the boat, it's just not good. So please try. And these books are not just for our own consumption, but we should share this knowledge with everybody. In this way, we will actually get much more taste and realization. Yes?
Prabhu, I have a question in regard to sharing the books with everybody.
Yes.
Now we see that there's the traditional format that we're often encouraged to engage in. Go
We
out on
have all the
streets.
formats.
Go out on the streets. Now my question is, there's a variety of way of sharing these books. Are they also encouraged in this month, or is it only if you don't go on the streets then you're in Maya? Or can you give the books in another way and Prabhupada will be pleased?
Oh, you can give the books in many ways.
Or the contents of the books also? or
Yes,
just the
but
book?
you see, sometimes our mind is a rascal, so our mind is always trying to find how to live on easy street. You know what that means? How to live on easy street? Have you ever tried to cut corners and kind of, have it comfortable? So sometimes we just have to do what the acharyas did, and that's just take to the streets and just face ourselves and our inner demons. So it's okay, you can send little snippets and little quotes and talks and PDFs and pictures, and that's all beautiful. And, the key word is and, not or, and we should also go out on the street and talk to a brand new person who doesn't know anything about anything, and just give them a book, get them to appreciate it on the value of the book, and get them to give a contribution and their valuable time. And it is very purifying, because we become detached from all our ideas of all the upadis, of all the things that we think we are and we can do, because these people don't know who we are and what we can do. So we actually have to depend on Krishna in that moment. When Vidura came back to the palace, he just spoke his heart. And that's why he had impact. And that's what's required of us when we do Sankirtan, that we speak from our heart. People don't know that you're a triple Bhakti Vaibhava, quadruple this and that, and you have zigged and zagged through all the echelons of, They don't know any of that. All they know is, do you have substance? Do you have something that you really die for, that you need to share with me right now? Because if not, I've got kids to pick up and a parking meter is killing me. And my boss is waiting for that project which is due, So, what is it that keeps you up at night? That's what people want to know. And that's a little hard to transmit, in a little quote and a little picture and a little email, But when you're there and you meet the person and you have them eye to eye, they can feel there is a sense of urgency, there is a sense of intensity, there's a sense of commitment and dedication, and that's what makes impact, and that's what wakes people up. And then all that fog and all that, cloud of asbestos will clear off. Right now, I'm not feeling the love. Why? Because my heart is insulated by asbestos? No, asbestos goes in the lungs. Take some water. Why is my heart insulated? Because of my upadis, my false designations. I'm thinking I'm somebody. Because of my pretentiousness. That's why I don't feel the love. And if I'm not feeling it, then I can't share it. Because then the other person is also not feeling it. If I can't even feel myself, how would anybody else be able to feel something? Now, of course, the books are very potent, very powerful, and we can try to keep the sun hidden, but we know the sun is out there. This process is very potent, is very powerful. So what is our mission? Just not try to get in the way. Just try to be a conduit, a conveyor, a transparent via media. And we want all the different ways to spread and share Krishna consciousness, including book distribution. Thank you for your kind attention. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Those who also have questions, I'm here if you want to ask. There was one or two more. I missed that.
Navina Narada Prabhu ki.
Oh yeah.
Go outside and give you books. Nonsense controversial. Never. No. You went out on the streets.
You're all right.
No.
Okay, which straight? Mahaprabhu.